afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of ISP Indonesia affiliate, I would like to welcome all participants to attending today's webinar, Building a Strong Cybersecurity Foundation in Pharmaceutical. Welcome also to panelists from ISP Indonesia and also from Rockwell Automation. We'd like to extend a special welcome to our guests of honor, Mr. Kenny Tay and Mr. Ang Kim Soon, who will be speaking this afternoon. I am Anita. I will be your moderator for your today's webinar. The agenda for today's webinar are opening, presentation, recap, and then followed by Q&A session, and closing by photo session for all of participants. The topic of today's webinar is regarding building a strong cybersecurity foundation in pharmaceutical. Since the utilization of cyberspace is increasing tremendously nowadays, we have to pay attention how to keep it secure. In this webinar, we will learn to assess how vulnerable is your organization, the aftermath of cyber attacks, and cybersecurity best practices. Hopefully, we can learn as much as possible from Mr. Kenny Tay and Mr. Ang Kim Soon from this webinar and be able to implement what we learned today in the workplace. Thank you for Rockwell Automation as sponsor for today's webinar, and also thank you for our colleague, the committee from ISP Indonesia affiliate, for organizing this webinar. Special thank you for our speaker, Mr. Kenny Tay and Mr. Ang Kim Soon, for willingness to share his knowledge and experience with us today. I would like to remind that during the presentation, the audience may ask questions using Q&A features, and moderator will choose the questions which will be answered directly in the Q&A session. The rest unanswered questions will be conveyed to Mr. Kenny Tay. Before the presentation, first I will introduce Mr. Kenny Tay and Mr. Ang Kim Soon. Let me introduce their short CV. Kenny Tay is a life science industry consultant in Rockwell who have more than 8 years experience in the biotech field. He drives the digital transformation initiative to help life science organizations realize the benefit of implementing disruptive technologies. While Ang Kim Soon is the Network and Security Services Business Leader for Southeast Asia. He possesses professional sales, marketing, and people management experience in the information technology industry for the past 17 years. Now we are going to the main agenda, the presentation of building a strong cybersecurity foundation in pharmaceutical. We invite Mr. Kenny Tay and Mr. Ang Kim Soon for presentation. You have around 40 minutes for presentation until 15:45 and followed by recap. Please welcome Mr. Kenny Tay for the first presentation. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Juanita. Are you able to see my screen as of now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so thank you for the brief introduction of us. So, selamat siang and a very good afternoon to everyone over here. So it is my pleasure and honor to welcome you to the workshop on how to build a strong cybersecurity foundation in a pharmaceutical company. So thank you so much once again, right, to invest your time with us on a Thursday afternoon. So I think Juanita has given an introduction about ourselves. So this is just for information for you guys. So these are the topics that we will be presenting for today itself. So first off, Kim Soon will be starting off with the various cyber attacks out there and how vulnerable is a pharmaceutical organization. Then using a case study by Bloomberg, right, I'll be explaining the aftermath of this cyber attack. What is the impact on a pharmaceutical company itself? Afterwards, Kim Soon will be walking through with you guys on what are some of the best cybersecurity practices in the industry currently and how to solidify your current cyber foundation. And afterwards, right, I'll be going through a few pharmaceutical success story on how Rockwell have helped our clients on improving their cyber posture itself. And finally, we'll go through a recap and a Q&A session. So with further ado, let me start the presentation with a polling question. So to start off the webinar, right, I would like to ask the audience over here on whether is cybersecurity enforcement part of your organization strategy in the next 3 years. Your answer could be yes, no, evaluating, or do not know where to start or how to start. So with this, we will start the countdown timer, 1 minute for you guys to do the poll itself. Yeah, please help to do the vote itself. Yeah, so we have 30 seconds left. Please continue to vote. We are currently seeing poll coming in.
%68% have been answered.
Yeah, please continue to vote. Everybody, we would like to have your feedback as well. Okay, but could you kindly show us the results?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, so the poll has closed, and this is the result of the poll. So we are glad to see that, most of you guys are focusing on cybersecurity enforcement as part of your organization strategy in the next few years, with some of you guys evaluating as well as majority evaluating and choosing yes as part of your cybersecurity enforcement in the next 3 years. With that, I would like to pass on to Kim Soon, who will be introducing the IT/OT trends and drivers in the cybersecurity portion currently, and what are the past 10 years of cyber attacks that we have observed. Kim Soon, please.
Thank you. Hai, selamat siang ya, ibu-ibu, bapak-bapak. Nama saya Kim Soon ya, asalnya dari Malaysia. Alright, terima kasih atas hadirin bapak-bapak sama ibu-ibu ya. Okay, let me start. What is the top drivers impacting information security and control for next 5 years? As you can see in the chart, the adoption of IoT in cyber physical system, we are talking about mobility. A lot of organizations today, they adopt BYOD and very cloud-based kind of application. So with this in mind, all right, with this kind of activity, cyber security is becoming more and more important. And I think it's increasing regulation. Why? Now, because today, as you can see, quite a lot of countries, governments, they are enforcing the regulation. The main purpose is to protect the intellectual property, evolving threat landscape. As you can see, threat landscape, what we define is like the cyber terrorists or the cyber criminal, they are becoming more and more advanced. So in other words, where we are coming from, we are helping a lot of customers to be more proactive, at least to say that you are one step ahead of the cyber criminal. All right. Business leader is seeking information security as competitive edge. Why? Many organizations, I'm sure today, quite a lot of representatives here, they deal with a lot of multinationals and people from overseas. And one of the key questions is they will ask whether have you implemented cybersecurity in your environment? Because a lot of them, they realize that no, the people they deal with, they need to be assured that no, cybersecurity is in place, in other words, to protect them and to protect their customer. DevOps driven IaaS infrastructure as services with cloud, and also the cost of using infrastructure as services has gone down tremendously, while the power of computing will go up. So today, many people opt to actually go for IaaS adoption. Why? Number one is IaaS, it will give you the agility, the flexibility, while your cost has been brought down. And this will give you immediate deployment across the globe. I'm sure you heard of Gojek is one of them in Indonesia. All their applications are all in IaaS, business initiative. It's the same, you know. Remember last 2 years, we are all having a lot of challenges during the COVID-19, and business need to evolve. When business need to evolve, therefore, you need to change the way you do things. You need to change your apps. You need to change how you serve your customer. Therefore, when you change to a new platform, definitely you need a cybersecurity to actually protect your environment. Business-driven SaaS adoption, software as service. One of the good examples is like AWS, Azure, you know, GCP is one of them. So SaaS is becoming more and more popular. Today, you may see 25%. For next 3 or 5 years, it may go up to at least 40%, because after what has happened for last 2 years, majority of our customers, they are moving towards SaaS adoption. But with the SaaS adoption, there need to be that compel customer to actually look into cybersecurity. So in summary, now today most organizations are still on the awareness phase for IoT security, but the attack vector is expanding. Now it's very simple. A thief, they need to become more advanced than the victim. Otherwise, the thief can never make a living. So that is why we say, you know, the attack vector is expanding, and helpful tool is just only emerging. So this is something new to everyone, and a lot of risk management leaders need to update their current threat management strategy. That is to say that, you know, you have to change according to the current time. Next, please. Okay. Now over here, what we can see is IT and OT convergence. Today, a lot of environment we can't run away. We need IT and the OT to work together. Now, in IT, you look more into the priority, data, the importance of data confidentiality, architecture. IT architecture is quite standard across all industry. All right, endpoints are homogeneous. Endpoints, you talk about, say, notebook, mobile devices, and the outcome is always digital. Now, as you can see in the real-time data, priority is given in the ICS OT environment. Now, priority is given on the reliability, integrity of the system. Uptime is always very important. Second thing is architecture is always proprietary, because coming from pharmaceutical company and Rockwell being one of the leaders in pharmaceutical industry, we notice not a single company in all the industry, all the environment is very proprietary, consists of isolated and task-specific system. Therefore, the architecture is very different. That's why you need a very bespoke framework to actually assist you. Endpoints are heterogeneous and task-specific. Endpoints, you talk about SCADAs, HMI, and whatnot. They are very heterogeneous because there's no such thing as one environment they use all the same endpoints. Some may have Emerson, some may have Yokogawa, Honeywell, Rockwell, you name it. So it's always very heterogeneous, and the outcome is always physical. Physical means something we can see, we can touch. All right, next. Now, Cybercriminal. For last 3 years, at least $12 billion in losses due to ransomware attack, and at least 53% of the industrial manufacturer have experienced cybersecurity breach in their facility. What do they mean? A lot of them, if they do a real security posture assessment, they found out that their environment is already being breached. And why are these people always the target. Number one is, in terms of OT, a lot of equipment, their traditional mindset is, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. So that leads to a lot of issue that, number one, a lot of them not being patched. Number two, the skill set need to properly manage cybersecurity is always there. All right. Now, another thing, why are the companies are starting to address this? Most industrial automation environment are poorly inventorized. That's to say that what you have, there's no proper process change process management or inventory management. Therefore, you may not know what you have. You may not know when was the last time you made a firmware update. You may not know where is it located, and you may not have the documentation on the latest logical and network diagram. That is very risky because sometimes things have changed. You forgot to do some setting or harden the firmware. That will lead to cybersecurity risk. Next. This is where ICS focus campaign, industrial control system. Now, yes, you can see as early as 2010. All right. What you see over here is Stuxnet. They target on the SCADA and modifying the PLC. And especially you look at Aurora, Operation Aurora, APT, that is Advanced Persistent Threat Cyber Attack on at least 20 high-tech security and defense company. I'm talking about high-tech and defense company. So they are so advanced, but they are still being attacked. Now, as you can see over here, from 2011, 12, 13, 14, until 2017, that's where non-PETIA has become that so advanced that even Merck, all right, Merck is such a big company, they invest so much, and yet they have been attacked by Indus Rover, a malware targeting electrical utility used in 2016 Ukraine. Now, why? Because all this electric utility, their SCADA and PLC, a lot of time, the plant manager or the asset owner, they don't bother to upgrade or actually look into their current state. WannaCry is another one which really create a lot of issues. And in 2008, Aurora operation, Roche and Bayer was really affected. And what leads to is very bad publicity. All right, 2020, just when the COVID-19 started. Now, a lot of people, a lot of this cyber criminal, when they know, because COVID, actually Pfizer and AstraZeneca, they are one of the pioneering in COVID vaccination. Therefore, it becomes a very sweet asset for cyber criminal. So, and this one, they encrypts the network drive and other resources and also deleting the backup. Now, traditionally, people always say that, okay, hey, look, no, if you are attacked, because we just restore. No. Any cyber security attack that happened, and historically, if you check on the public media, most of the time, the attackers has been in your environment at least 1 year ago. Therefore, even you restore your backup, you are just restoring back the attack. And back to coming fast forward to 2011, again, food FMCG company, major brewing company was attacked, and as a result, as a result that their operation is badly compromised, and even people like Essential, they are not being spared as well. Imagine, Essential is such an advanced company, they are also being attacked. Next.
Thank you, Kim Soon.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Kim Soon, for giving the insights to some of the cyber attacks campaign on industrial control systems. So next, right, I'll be speaking on a giant pharmaceutical cyber attack case, which I think Kim Soon had mentioned, by the non-PETIA attack itself. So it's a ransomware attack. So it was said that, this is one of the most destructive and costly cyber attack in the history, which amounted to approximately 1.3 billion worth of losses, which are due to several factors. So what was the impact, right? So as you can see over here, The first impact was that the manufacturing facility that supplied the vaccines for the US market had grounded to a halt for almost 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks, right, there was nothing that can be done. So, and for such a cyber attack to be happening for a giant pharmaceutical, it seems like it was unbelievable at that point of time that it could have happened. So by the end of 2017, as you can see over here, Merck has estimated that the initial regulatory filings that the malware did was 870 million in damages. Among other things, the ransomware crippled the pharmaceutical production facility, which makes them unable to meet the demand for Gardasil, which is one of the leading vaccine against human papilloma virus itself, which causes cervical cancer. So they had to borrow 1.8 million doses, right, from the national stockpile itself, which was essentially the entire US emergency supply. So it took them 18 months to replenish this cache, valued at 240 million itself. So other than this, a typical cyber attack, right, could also impact the company's reputation, and additional costs would be required for publicity control and etc. And for R&D companies that are doing clinical trial for various drugs, in the event of a cyber attack, patient information could have leaked out to the public. Thus, companies would have to be fined due to data breach, due to data breach to the public itself. So after looking at the impacts of a cyber attack, right? So let's move on to what is having an adequate cyber posture. So as you can see over here, for this case, it was mentioned by the insurers, right, that Merck was doing as much as they could to defend themselves against a ransomware attack like NotPetya. It was questioned. So such as, vigilant in updating their software and etc. So this could lead to the amount of claims after the cyber attack being low itself. So then it was mentioned that the insurance company are working to protect themselves against cyber risk, and there is so much that a government can do. So hence, giant pharmaceuticals such as Merck will have no choice but to build their own defense and to manage the risk. Thus, this shows that having adequate cyber foundation is actually very important. So let's take a look at what are some of the opinions from the C-level people. So as you can see over here, first we have Marcelo, which is the global cyber and technology claim leader, who said that NotPetya was a wake-up call for everybody. And following that, there's a CFO of Merck, which is Robert Davis, who said that they will continue to make sure that they are fully invest to protect themselves against cyber threats that they see. So this showed the importance of having a cybersecurity in pharmaceutical itself. So with this, I would like to emphasize to the audience the importance of having a strong cyber posture and how disastrous is the aftermath of a cyber attack itself. So after seeing the impact of a cyber attack in a pharmaceutical company, I would like to ask the audience over here on what are some of your top 3 main concerns in your current OT environment. Number 1, you do not know where to start. Number 2, you do not know where are the evaluation criteria. Number 3, roadmap creation. Number 4, internal competency. You do not have the resources. Number 5, existing infrastructure. Number 6, drafting a policy in line with the business direction. Or number 7, how to meet the statutory requirement. So with this, we will have the countdown timer for 1 minute for you guys to do the poll. And yeah, thank you. Kindly help us do the poll, because it's important for us to know, what are the top 3 main concerns itself, so that in the future we are able to address this kind of problems along with the solutions that is provided by Kim Soon in the next session itself. Thank you, everybody. Hi, Pak or Bu Anita, do you know what is the percentage as of now?
Currently 48%.
48%. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so for those that have not started to vote, please continue to vote, as we are currently saying that, you know, there is a few leader in this particular question as of now.
%58.
Okay, but maybe you can show the result as of now so that yeah, we can close the poll. So this is the result of the poll. So we understand from the audience that, you know, the top 3 challenges in your current OT environment is internal competency, being the #1 leader itself, along with existing infrastructure, and you do not know where to start or how to create a roadmap itself. So in the next session, right, I'll be passing the mic to Kim Soon, who will be discussing in depth on what are some of the pharmaceutical cyber solutions in the market to help you to solve your current concerns that you have. Kim Soon, please.
Thank you, Kenny. Now, I think the poll actually speaks for itself. Number one, what we always recommend is the approach: improve risk posture with limited capital expenditure and shortened implementation timeline. Okay, what are we talking about?
Kim Soon, you are on mute.
Kim Soon, you're,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
you're sure.
Sorry. Okay, now this recommended approach actually improve the risk posture with limited capital expenditure. So in other words, you're going to spend so much, but at the same time, we help you to actually improve the whole entire cybersecurity. Now, what are the 4 key things we always tell people? Establish asset visibility. You must know what you have and where they are in the current state. This is the in more detail, conduct asset inventory analysis and vulnerability awareness. Number 2, determine current risk posture. What does it mean? When you conduct risk assessment, all right, you must actually go through what if scenario, conduct penetration testing on the OT environment. Now, if you have a independent cybersecurity consultant, you can always ask them to do an independent penetration test. Now, in Rockwell, we have our own set for OT, but just remember, IT penetration test and OT penetration test is different, yeah? And review and establish framework and standards. So once you know where you are, you have to review back your previous framework. It may be valid, it may not be valid. Because most of the time we know that every year, a lot of companies do pen tests to make sure that their framework is valid and up to date. Develop base cybersecurity hygiene program. Now, what does it tell you? When you develop a unified IT and OT stakeholder governance model, you are building a set of rules for everyone so that everyone knows what to do in the event that if you are being attacked. Develop anti-malware strategy. What we mean by anti-malware strategy? Antivirus alone is not enough. You have to know your entire inventory, their firmware and their OS. Today, a lot of people are using Android-based system. Do take note that Android-based, they have about 18,000 vulnerabilities per year. And especially those who are using Windows Server, they have 7,000 vulnerabilities per year. Now, this will be very critical because if, let's say you will be attacked, it's going to affect your environment now. So in other words, anti-malware strategy is very important. Execute legacy physical server to virtual migration. Traditionally, no one there to IT, they don't touch OT because they may not understand. So therefore, it is what the equipment will be static and what you call that, a lot of them actually say, okay, don't move to virtual. But in the real world today, we always encourage customer to move to virtual? Number one, once they move to virtual, it's easy for us to manage the whole vulnerability system. Deploy antivirus management measure. This is very important because today the antivirus, they are more advanced. And in Rockwell, we have a cybersecurity framework for ICS, whereby we recommend the right antivirus. Of course, we will explain to customer what's the importance between OT-based antivirus and the normal Kaspersky or what you call that, Panda antivirus, because the consumer grade cannot protect your ICS. Execute OS infrastructure patching service and software patching schedule. As I mentioned before, Windows alone has got 7,000 vulnerabilities. There's no way you can do 7,000 patches a year because one day is about 20 patches, means one day 20 shutdown. No way. You usually engage a right consultant to advise you what is critical, less high critical, medium, and low. That's where you know where you are and what are the immediate action you can do. Create backup and recovery plan. As like other, it's quite the same with IT disaster recovery. When you do backup, it is very important to make sure the hygiene of data being backup, not just backup for the sake of backup, but hygiene. How clean is the data you backup? Because if your data is contaminated, when you restore, you'll restore back the contamination of malware, ransomware, virus, and whatnot. OT network readiness. Now, this is where, number one, conduct comprehensive OT level assessment. What we mean by OT level assessment? We always conduct level 3.0 to 3.5. That's where the OT layer is. A lot of people mistaken with IT, which is level 7 to level 4, but we are looking at 3.5 to 0. That's where all the OT is, your SCADA, your starter, your PLC, your CCTV, your robotic arm, and the list continue on. Complete comprehensive design, network, and IDMC to create segmentation. Now, the word IDMC, we always advise our multinational customer, this is to separate between the IT layer and the OT layer. So whatever happened to your IT, it doesn't affect your OT. Or whatever happened to your OT, you can actually isolate and reduce the effect. All right, next. The approach is more foundational way to improve overall cybersecurity risk posture. We moderate, this is more moderate capital investment and define operation expenditure. Now, let's say you got more budget from your organization. This is another method you can look at. Can we? Comprehensive install-based review and migration. What we mean by comprehensive install-based review and migration? Conduct physical and digital install-based evaluation. Means whatever you have, we will do a review. All right. This is physical. This is digital. All right. And when I say digital, means software, automation software, MES and whatnot. Modernized legacy automation asset, process, and system. Now, a lot of automation equipment, they tend to last over at least 20 years. So that is why sometimes we also share with customers some of the legacy automation asset you need to replace with more modern asset whereby they have the cybersecurity capability and also the process system. As you know, process system is very hard to replace, it's very expensive. In a real situation, it's a difficult choice, but you have to actually replace in order to protect the whole organization. Now, deploy segmentation between IT and OT. Like I mentioned just now, IT and OT, there's always a DMZ zone. Just imagine North Korea and South Korea, there's always a DMZ zone. This is to make sure only the right traffic can go up or going up north or coming down south. And comprehensive OT network implementation. Separate everything and implement secure remote access platform. traditionally IT will say, now I use remote desktop management. That is very dangerous, or they always say VPN is protected. Now, during the COVID-19, everyone work from home. So whatever the malware is at home, they may crawl back to the VPN. Therefore, we always say implement secure remote access platform is very important. Secure endpoint. What we mean by secure endpoint? Now, endpoint, you're talking about tablet, you're talking about notebook or mobile devices. And this is very important. We always call it hardening the image. Hardening the image means administrator with a strict administrative password only can make changes on the program. Therefore, in the event anti-malware that attack your environment, it cannot change the program. Therefore, the effect has been isolated. Deploy continuous threat detection. Now, it's just like a radar, protecting your country. You must really have a good threat detection system. So in other words, prevention is better than cure. All right. And also the risk management program is very important. Where today a lot of organizations, they review every quarterly because they know that as the company grow, as the company become more profitable, they will become a target for cybersecurity attack. Monitor and management of OT environment. Now, from application, data center, firewall, DMZ, and threat detection platform, this is very important. We always say that some organizations that have limited budget, they will most likely outsource, and usually they will partner with a credible service provider. Create disaster recovery plan. Why is this important? The disaster recovery plan maybe has been created 10 years ago, and people have thought that it will meet your requirement. No, we always, in Rockwell, we have this tabletop package whereby all the executive level will go through emergency drill in case of cybersecurity attack, so that they are aware in different situations, if there's a cybersecurity attack, how they can react to it to minimize the damage. Next slide. This approach outlines comprehensive OT cybersecurity, providing a multi-year approach and blueprint of all elements in an adaptive program. So what do we mean, right? You're talking about long term. I mean, if let's say for many pharmaceutical industry, when they know that their business is going to be here for the next 50 years, they must have a real resilient blueprint. Now, what does it consist of? It consists of change management, workforce skill gap, providing workforce skill gap mitigation by providing security managed services. Number one, the most important is you have to modernize your plant or an enterprise. So in other, whatever legacy equipment maybe your plant A is old, the second plant, your plant B is a newer one. Either you start everything new, or existing plant that you have to migrate everything. Modernized OT network. What do we mean by modernized OT network? You have to have a detailed logical and physical network, including IDMZ implementation. And the most important thing is deploy micro-segmentation strategy. Means you must, in other words, from IT world, they call it VLAN. In OT world, they call it micro-segmentation. Means if this data will go to line A, you only go to line A. You don't go to line B, C, D, E, F. So that if there's any cybersecurity happen to line B, you need affect line B. It doesn't affect the rest. Deploy continuous monitoring capability. Implement secure remote access with endpoint protection platform. This is very important because a lot of plants today, especially fully automated plant, a lot of things are managed remotely. Now, why is it important? If it's managed remotely, you need a secure remote access like I shared earlier. Yes, many will think that VPN is good enough, but no, it's not anymore. I'm not saying VPN is not good, but hackers has become more advanced where they know where the loophole is in the VPN. Expand to integrated security management and administration. Now, network, firewall, data center application, threat detection platform, antivirus, all it must be integrated. Means all of them working together and complementing each other. As you know, when you add more features inside the environment, it becomes more and more complex. But this one, we always help the customer to plan ahead what you can do in stages, especially when you talk about 5 to 10 years kind of blueprint. Augment workforce with security operations center. All right, now we integrate the IoT telemetry with security operation team or third-party service provider. Now, what we mean by third-party service provider, assuming that let's say you have your environment as Siemens, Honeywell, Yokogawa, what are you going to do? Are you going to employ three different set of people? No. Don't you think it's better that you have one partner you can work with, which can work in any environment? Especially, I know a lot of you have heterogeneous environment. Therefore, one company be able to actually monitor all the equipment you have. Develop incident response handling. I mentioned just now. You must know if there's any incidents that happen, what is the right way to respond. It's exactly like fire drill, which is quite standard. The building is standard, fire is standard. Fire doesn't change, it just burn only. But cybersecurity is different. Cybersecurity is getting more and more advanced. Number one, why? A lot of time, many people I spoke to, they say, no, my site got no money. They are not going to rob us. They're going to rob the bank. It's not true anymore. Today, cybersecurity attack your environment. They cripple your operation. They may lead to loss of life. They may lead to attracting negative publicity. And the motive is always about money. Especially when you read all the cybersecurity incident, when the company is profitable, they are always a target for cybersecurity attack. So in other words, what we always preach and what we always practice to a lot of our partner is draft, create and deploy an incident response workflow. Means if anything happens, they respond in a very, very effective way. And also in a very fast-paced manner. Next. Now, this is the whole entire approach to industrial cybersecurity. As I mentioned, this is a summary from identify, protect, detect, and response. So as you can see later, we'll share, Kenny will share you all the slides. This will actually give you a very overview that can help you to drill deeper inside. If there's any interest, we can actually come in to assist you. Next. All right. Now, polling question number 3. After implementing OT cybersecurity, what are the potential gaps that are still available on your slide? You want to take over, Kenny? For this polling question number 3?
So yeah, the first one is a slower business process. Number 2, resource and competency issues. Number 3, changing business landscape. Number 4, adopting new technology. And number 5, in-source or outsource itself. Please feel free to cast your vote as of now. We'll be having a 1-minute strict time due to time constraint. Please cast your vote, guys. Appreciate much. "30 seconds more." Okay, I think probably we'll end in 10 seconds. Okay,
43%.
Okay, maybe we reach 50%. Please, everyone, help to vote. We would require the vote in order for the next part to make sense, right?
46. Still 46. %50.
Okay, can you kindly show the results? So we see that, you know, the number one competency gap after implementing a OT cybersecurity at your place is actually resources and competency issue itself. So with that, right, actually, the next portion, Kim Soon, could you kindly bring them through how to solve all these different gaps?
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Kenny. Now, this is how we actually establish a framework outlining a comprehensive approach. Business evaluation. It has to be a solution-based approach, not the same in different companies. So it has to be very specific to your particular industry. The business risk cost will vary from industry to industry. Now, a lot of people will always say, no, skill is always the problem. You can actually overcome it. No, you can talk to a credible partner. No, you got quite a lot outside, and this will help you to train. Now, we always advise our customer to actually understand where is the gap. Once they know where is the gap, then most of the time we will actually train them as the first level, but at the same time, Rockwell will add value in feeding the right set of information and also come out with the framework. The framework is, that's where our unique business value, as you know, Rockwell has been in the industry for over a century. We have worked together as Cisco for Start and Clarity, whereby these are the leaders in where they are in helping customers to address the gap. What we mean, the gap in competency, such as knowledge. You know, we have the knowledge. Number two is react to the situation, to the cybersecurity attack. How the executive, how the head of department, how the managers can help or can do in case of cybersecurity attack. Number three, keep abreast of the current situation. And in the case whereby legacy equipment, how you can actually acquire the knowledge. Rockwell will come in and actually come up with a framework and actually help you to segmentize it and address it one by one. Next. Now, planning roadmap, that's what we say is very important. From strategy review, as you can see, you have to review what is your strategy and identify the opportunity. What we mean by identify opportunity is to conduct, what we always say, conduct asset inventory and vulnerability assessment. The day you know what you have and where are their weakness and what is the gap, means you are at least 50% ahead of your cybersecurity criminal, because you know where is your weakness really and you know what to do about it. Business case. Now, this is very important. IT and OT must be aligned, their needs and ROI. Because IT may not understand the OT, OT may not understand IT, but we can create a standard framework where both can agree to it, and this framework will actually help you to address cybersecurity attack. And the next one, sorry, the screen is blocking. Roadmap. Number one, of course, roadmap, like what we mentioned earlier, you must have a very good roadmap on the expansion if you have modernization or legacy, expansion and legacy modernization and leads to purely digital. Now, this roadmap is very important, whereby we'll ask the leadership what is their mission and what's their vision and what they want to achieve. Now, achieving something is one thing, but like we mentioned, going from destination A to destination B is the objective, but how safe is it from destination A to B is very important. All right, so this is the entire planning roadmap where we come in to actually sit down with customer, review, analyze all the input, and a working session with leadership. So we'll talk to all the leaders and we'll advise them these are the best method moving forward. Next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kim Soo.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you, Kim Soo, for explaining the framework itself. So this is one of the success story that we have in Rockwell. So this is a giant pharmaceutical with more than 64 sites globally. So what did we do to help, right? As mentioned earlier by Kim Soo itself, it typically is split into three portions. First, assess design, second, implementation, and third, managing after the implementation itself. So we have helped, in this case, the assess and design as well as the implementation portion, because they do not have the necessary expertise and the resource for the two portion. Okay, let's deep dive into what do I mean by some of the challenges, right? So number one, they do not know how to mitigate enterprise business risks, such as, how to minimize the impact of cybersecurity attacks, such as the non-Penya attack, just now the case study for Merck itself. Number two, the risk of malware attack in the system, due to gaps in the current cyber posture. So this will lead to, cyber attacks could lead to siphoning out of data itself from clinical data, ABC, or drug formulation, which cause some of the drug formulation might have serious adverse side effect that will lead to damages of the company's reputation, or in a production setting, it will cause a shutdown itself because of insufficient protection. Number three, the lack of real-time threat detection and visibility across the plant, because they do not have the solution, or there's no framework such as end-time EDR, your end-time detection and reaction itself. So then I'll move on to the solution. What did we offer as a solution itself, right? So first is actually network segmentation across 64 sites. We have developed a Cisco and Rockwell network architecture. We call it CPWE, which is Converged Plant-Wide Ethernet Network itself. Second, deployment of threat detection services. We have helped to install and set up the software for them that is an automated breach defense system that continuously monitor their network for attacks, vulnerabilities, and persistent threats itself. Number three, daily inventory of system assets. So why is this important, right? It's because it gives you the visibility of your SCADA and PLC in operations. So whenever, there is a new line that is coming up, you do not know whether it is a new software or old software, so you will have the visibility on the assets that when providing a patching or upgrading when required itself. So and the last two, which is real-time threat intrusion view environment itself, and endpoint strategy, security strategy. So this security strategy is like the strategy for application of whitelisting, as well as USB cleansing for centralized management of portable media in the OT environment itself. So what kind of benefits do they get, right? Number one, improve OT cyber hygiene. Number two, fast deployment, deploy from cloud or local network. So the user do not have to go to the existing site to do it. Number three, plant-wide, enterprise-wide adoption of security culture. So we have done, every 2 to 3 months, you will do a change of password, two-factor authentication. So that, as we know that security is not a convenient, but it's to increase the hardness of the attack itself. So in this, they will improve their cyber security risk posture. So the next one is another pharmaceutical, as we have again, globally with 7 sites itself, right? So what did we do to help? We help them to assess and design. And, they have challenges throughout, like, bottleneck in growth of your global production, lack of standards, scalability and resilience, enterprise network and IDMZ design services. So this is what we did as a solution itself. So we implemented enterprise-wide network and IDMZ design services, implemented application support, as well as we standardized the global network and virtual infrastructure. So the benefit is that, now they will have a standard network blueprint for greenfield sites, right, to support phase implementation and to have accurate CapEx visibility, because we are able to show them, what are the costs for the next 5 years, and we do not have any additional charges itself. We have real-time information for modernizing the network infrastructure, because you know what software and patches there are real-time itself, so you are able to modernize your network infrastructure. And last but not least, remote expansion of your network requirements itself. So these are the key takeaways, right? A recap of what we have covered earlier in the initial slides. We have emphasized on the aftermath of a cyber attacks itself. It is very disruptive, it is unpredictable as well. So that's why actually Kim Soon have suggested what are the solutions to safeguard your organization itself. We talk about, you know, your the three things itself, how to build a risk-informed, a repeatable, and an adaptive cyber strategy itself. And afterwards, how to create a cybersecurity framework with the 5 steps itself, your strategic review, identifying opportunities, building a business case, the cost estimates, as well as your roadmap construction. And the end, I've also presented, you know, how we can have industrial partnerships with pharmaceuticals for cyber solutions itself. With that, I've come to the last slide of the presentation. We would like to pass the mic to Anita for Q&A and some sharing itself. Anita, please.
Thank you, Mr. Kenny Tang and Mr. Ng Kim Soon for very comprehensive presentation and recap. Now is the Q&A session. The audience can ask questions in Q&A feature. While waiting for the question, I would like to remind there are feedback forms from ISP Indonesia. Please fill the feedback form and send back to ISPE no later than 2 days after the webinar. The link to get the feedback form is available in the chat room. Presentation material will be emailed to whom has sent the feedback form. Okay. I will also announce the next. Okay. I will also announce the next tentative incoming webinar program, which are building a strong cybersecurity foundation in pharma today, and the next webinar is validation of cold chain in 19th of May, digital disruption of biopharma or pharmaceutical in mid of June, how transformation technology help pharmaceutical or biopharmaceutical to solve their existing pain point in end of June, IC8 KCD impurity in single-use manufacturing in July, vendor evaluation in August, liquid formulation in October. Now the Q&A session. There is one question right now. Okay. This is from Christopher Daniel Kurniawan. The question is, how can we assure the data hygiene during the data backup process?
Okay. Number one is what we always say, that you have to have a proper anti-malware to actually detect. Okay, first thing first, assess your current posture. So what we mean by current posture is there's no vulnerability from firewall, server, OS, and application. Once everything is done, then we'll give you a checklist. All right, your server, your network, your application, your OS are all clean. And then we also can recommend that, okay, you may want to use Trend Micro or Symantec or anything. Come up with a proper configuration to make sure that, all right, all these things are clean all the time, only you back up. Now, a lot of people only implement antivirus. That is not enough. You need to look into the firewall. You need to look into your switch firmware. You need to look into your Windows server vulnerability. Like I say, Windows, if you look at CVE, common vulnerability exploitation, CVE files, it's very important you know what this CVE, you go to Microsoft, you can see what does it affect you. And then from there, you know what are the patches you need to do. Otherwise, you'll be very busy doing patches, but you may miss out the critical one. So I always recommend is do a proper cyber security assessment. Then you know where you are. In other words, if you want to know what is the state of your health, go and see a doctor, do a thorough medical checkup, from blood checkup, know your posture and everything. Then the doctor come out report, then only you know, oh, this is the weakness, I have to address this. Then from then on, you have a healthier life, or no more quality life. It's the same like cybersecurity. You need to have a good partner to actually ensure all your posture are all good before you talk about backup, or before you implement the most expensive antivirus, but your posture is still bad, you still go back to square one. I hope that answers your question, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. And the next question is from Gracia Feraja Saputra. Thank you for the explanation. Is there any simple advice for the lay people, not IT or T savvy personnel, for cyber security?
Yes, yes. I've been in cybersecurity for more than 10 years. When I do presentation, if let's say you contact me, you can actually tell me what is your challenges, and I'll be more than happy to actually help you how to make it in a layman term. Like for example, when I talk about what I call that, incident response, I always explain to people, hey, look, when there's a fire happening, what are you going to do? Are you going to run it through the emergency escape? No. What if the emergency escape got a lot of bags, got a lot of box, got a lot of people put chairs and everything? It's going to block you, right? And now the item you put there going to get burned and you stop the emergency escape. So in other words, let's say if I'm given a chance, or let's say, again, our contact details are there. If you have this challenge, you drop me an email and you tell me what is your challenges. I will help you to put it in a layman term so that you can actually articulate to your management and why is it so important. Otherwise, I know quite a lot of people I work with in my past career, the top people don't understand. So you need a layman term to make them understand. So I'm quite exposed. Honestly, I'm quite exposed to that kind of situation. So if you need help, feel free to contact Rockwell, and later just share my email address. I will help you out the best way I can. No obligation. It's purely to actually assist you to move to the next level.
I think, Kim Soon, to add on to your point as well, right? Actually, the best advice is actually to find an expert like you who can actually give consultation advices, as well as to do some gap analysis, right?
Yeah. I think, okay, yeah, that also can.
Yep. Is there any more questions?
Okay, I think there is no more question right now, and also the time is finished for Q&A session. It's already 4:00 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Kenny Tay and Mr. Ang Kim Soon, for the very comprehensive and very interesting presentation. It is really a good opportunity for us to learn from you, and also thank you for kindly good answers. Now it's time for photo session. Please turn on the video of all participants. Please be patient to let the committee to take several pictures, and for the committee, please inform if the photo session is finished.
Yeah, please don't be shy, guys. Open up your cameras. We can take a group photo together.
Yeah.
Bapak Ibu, selamat sore. Tolong diaktifkan kameranya sehingga kita bisa foto sama-sama. We will need some time to allow the attendees to move to the panelists box, and then they can open the camera. Soon we will have a photo session together. I will inform later. Sekali lagi Bapak Ibu yang punya kamera, tolong diaktifkan ya, biar kita bisa sama-sama ambil foto session. Masih ada beberapa orang lagi yang perlu dipindahkan.
good to be seeing all the handsome guys and pretty ladies over here.
Okay. Okay. I will take a picture, maybe twice. Okay. Bapak Ibu, saya akan ambil, ikutin Aba-aba. 1, 2, 3. Senyum. Oke, sebentar satu session lagi. Sama-sama lagi ya. 1, 2, 3. Makasih, saya kembalikan ke Bu Anita.
Okay, thank you, Pajai. On behalf of ISP Indonesia affiliate, once again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for participating. Special thank you for Mr. Kenite and Mr. Ang Kim Soon as speaker today, and also Rockwell Automation as today webinar sponsor. Don't forget to fill the feedback form and send back no later than 2 days. I hope everyone enjoyed the webinar. See you in the next webinar. Thank you. I will close the webinar.
Thank you so much, Anita. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Terima kasih Bu Anita.
Terima kasih semua ya, saya izin live.